Well, hello and welcome to Yellow Flag FPL, the podcast where all of our opinions should be yellow flagged. My name is Harry.
I'm Stephen Berry.
And you're back, Stephen, after Lee has covered for you earlier on in the week with quite some impressive analysis, I have to say. Did you listen to the pod? How did you find it?
I did. I really enjoyed Lee's EFL, shall we say, analysis. He referenced players being meaty quite a lot, which he is, I know, very very important down the lower leagues. But no, I thought he did a good job. I think he said Madueke was one of his key shouts as well, which so far so good on that one. Those who triple captained him are a lot happier than those triple captained Timber like I did, or the very popular choice of Gabriel. So no, thought it was good, and he's obviously welcome back anytime onto the pod.
Yeah, absolutely. Before he shoots off to Singapore, and you're now a married man, Stephen.
I am
congratulations.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a big month for me. I've gotten married. I lost my place on the podcast temporarily, but I'm back now, so it's all kicking off here.
Fantastic. Well, in amongst that chaos, we've had a FA Cup weekend, but we are still in the middle of a game week, which is a bit odd. We're recording this on Tuesday with Arsenal Wolves to come tomorrow. So how are you doing currently with your team, and any sort of key players that stood out for you?
Terribly, absolutely terribly. My wild card wasn't that bad apart from my strikers. Thiago Evan Nielsen was such a big mistake. I don't know what Bournemouth had such a good run, but he's crap. That was just so blinkered there by me. As mentioned, I've got a triple captain on Timber. I need to hope for the best tomorrow. Palmer fine, but I benched Salah, which obviously was a mistake. But yeah, my front three are really letting me down, and I need to sort that as soon as possible.
Salah.
Yeah.
Bench Salah. I mean, I never thought I'd hear that. I mean, if you own him, you have to start him, surely.
You think but I had so much faith, and I have so much faith at Sunderland at the Stadium of Light. Unfortunately, didn't work out that way, which we'll talk about later. But that's why. So it wouldn't make too much difference. He only got 6 points, but my front three really letting me down. Evan Nielsen was a stupid decision. I don't know why I did that. Danny Welbeck, again, pictures were good, but it's Danny Welbeck. I can't complain too much. And Thiago has also been letting me down. Brentford have picked up some good results, but he's not picked up. So I'd say Thiago a bit unlucky. Evan Nielsen and Welbeck pretty poor.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that Brentford Arsenal game briefly, but I think Thiago had a hatful of chances that really could have hauled in that game, and that would have been quite interesting for not only for FPL but also the title race, of course. But anyway, so yeah, I'm on 50 points currently, triple captained in play with Gabriel. To be honest, lucky not to be sent off. I think it probably was a second yellow. And I think if he wasn't on a yellow card, it would have been a yellow card. So he's got 9 points currently. With obviously Wolves to go. And I've got Declan Rice also to play, who's currently on 4. So, it's all to play for. But why don't we start with the Wolves-Forest game? Purely because, Wolves are coming up next. And I think it's quite interesting. And I haven't really realised this and didn't really plan it in this way. But I'm covering the 2 games in which managers have now been sacked. In the form of Forest, Wolves, and then obviously Tottenham, Newcastle, which I begrudgingly have to talk about. But look, I think this was a mad game, really. I mean, Forest had 26 shots. They had an XG of 2.5. Both teams had situations where they had 5-on-1s and didn't convert either chance. Luca, who's just come across from the Italian league, showing why the Italian league is the Italian league, and blazing the shot over the top. Mane, I think, was really impressive. He had 2 very good chances, and I think those that brought him in on a punt, I was close to doing so. I think you were unlucky not to get something out of it. Jose Salah, I recommended him on the pod because we were doing the nutty call of if you were to own 3 Wolves, who would you go for? But he's walked away with 10 points, probably, maybe more.
I think it's 12, actually.
Yeah, which is crazy performance. Obviously, he's got Arsenal next, and he might lose a few of those points. But if he gets, imagine if he gets a clean sheet against Arsenal. That could be a huge return for him. But yeah, 50 points, 2 players to play, triple captain still in play. Pretty happy about that. So yeah, but not sure what I'm going to do next week or the week coming. I'm probably tempted to hold, to be honest, because we do have a bit of uncertainty about a few of the double game weeks. Obviously, the FA Cup has made some things more reasonable. And if you haven't seen, go check Ben Crellin's spreadsheets on X. He's got them all sort of linked there with the possibilities and put out some nice graphics last night I saw. And of course, we've got the North London Derby, which I'm going to be hiding behind the sofa in a bar in Budapest on a stag do, hoping it's not too painful. Tell you what, if you gave me a 0-0 right now, I'd take it. I really would. 0-0, horrible game, fine. No problem.
You would, but let's talk about Nottingham Forest because obviously Pierre has come in, the ex-Wolves manager.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Dyche, Michael Cox in the Athletic did a very good point about this, and it was also Frank as well. Low possession managers just can't manage big teams. It's not necessarily that they're bad managers per se; it just doesn't work in that system. So we criticize Vincent Kompany for relegating Burnley, but look what's happened. Russell Martin has obviously gone a bit too far, maybe that way. But this is why managers have to play that way because fundamentally, you're not gonna if you get a big job, you're gonna fall. This company maybe is a bit unfair because obviously Bayern, as Mourinho once said, the kit man would win the league, but nevertheless, he's still doing well there. So I think Dyche just proved again that he just doesn't know how to. That game was perfect. They were high possession all over them, nothing. That's just not how Dyche wins teams. But more interesting question now for Nottingham Forest moving forward under Pierre, who plays attacking football.
Yeah.
Are you worried about Nottingham Forest? Because if they play that well and don't score, they will come up against a better attack than Armstrong, who how he keeps getting Premier League games is beyond me. Than him.
Yeah.
So in other words, if they're going to be all that attacking and get, my question is, are they going to go out and attack and get basically not enough and concede quite a lot? And they're also under a lot of pressure now from West Ham.
Yeah, so look, I think the joke that was made over the weekend is Nuno's managed to get 2 managers sacked at different clubs, but I think conceptually, I think it does make a few players interesting. So when he came into Wolves was it last season or this season? I can't remember.
It was last season. He got sacked.
It was last season, but obviously they had a better squad than they still had Cunha, they had Alnori. They picked up some impressive results and they played really nice football. Now, Forest's team is better than what Wolves' team were at the beginning of this season. Morgan Gibbs-White, he had a couple of chances in this game against Wolves. I think he's a really appealing option. Hudson-Odoi, he's quick, he plays well, and I think he's a really tricky player, tricky winger. Their defenders are still good defenders. They've just signed Stefan Ortega, which I think is a real sneaky shout, to be honest, if you were looking for a keeper. If Matt Sells lost his place, he's in my team. I think
he's also injured. He's also injured as well.
And he's also injured, yeah. So Stefan Ortega's minutes are probably bang on. And he can't be that expensive. What, 4.8, maybe less. And I think for a keeper of that, he's a decent keeper, and I think that they're gonna play attacking football, sure, but that means they're gonna get a few spaces in behind. That means he's gonna get chances against them, which means he's gonna get saves, which means he's gonna get save bonuses. He would be a sneaky shout, I think, for the rest of the season, to be honest. But look, I think Forest are in trouble because if their fans think that they get 26 shots in a game and they don't score, the only people responsible for that are the players. Dyche has managed to open that Wolves team, he's managed to open them up countless times. The fact that Forest didn't put it away is not his fault. Now, if Pereira gets them, get the next game, they score 4 and they 4-0, everyone's got to go, oh, new manager bounce. No, it's not. It's simply that the players actually have managed to hit the target, right? I think the sacking was really, really harsh and really, really shit. And Forest I am worried about. But if you believe in the new manager bounce, if you believe that he's got a better squad, which I do, I can see Morgan Gibbs-White being a shout, but I'm not that confident of Forest's survival.
I actually disagree a little bit. I mean, obviously you're a Spurs fan, so you're desperate for another team to get that 3rd spot. So I think a little bit of biases there. Ortega, you're right, by the way. He has 4.7 million, and quite frankly, he should go into your team just because he's holding a Nottingham Forest shirt and pointing out as the FPL photo. I think he's the only one with an in-action FPL shot. If that doesn't get him into your team, then I don't know what does.
What's it all been for?
Yeah, exactly. I would like to see I'd like to see back in the team. I think he should play a lot more for them. I know he can be a bit inconsistent, but I'm I know to disagree with you, but I don't actually. I do actually worry about them, Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the Nottingham Forest fans, by the way. I think they actually are quite a pragmatic bunch. Just the owner is
Yeah,
insane.
the owner's nuts.
Um,
Sorry, yeah,
yeah,
should have specified
um,
that.
yeah, and I think. And some of their players on paper, people like Neko Williams and Michelin, I can never work out if they're good or not. It's like, um, I think their attackers could be quite interesting. I think if Hutchinson's keeps on his place, he's very tricky. He
Mm.
could be interesting. Morgan's was probably a bit expensive. Ortega will make saves. I think you're right. He is a good keeper, but yeah, I do worry about them defensively now a lot more. Essentially, I think the FPL tip
Mm.
here is if you have players coming up playing Nottingham Forest, make sure you have attackers against them. Essentially, I think that's very much a tip again, as it was at the start of the season before Deitch came in.
Yeah, and I think overall, from an FPL perspective, if you want a keeper that is relatively cheap and you know is going to start and is probably going to get quite a few saves, I think Ortega's reasonable. Morgan Gibbs White, he's a really annoying player because he is clearly a very, very good player. If he was like a million less, bang, he's right in your team. But he's 7.4, isn't he? 7.3, something
Yeah,
like that. That's a
yeah.
bit expensive, and that takes you into a Morgan Rogers
Declan Rice
territory.
money and people like that.
Declan,
Yeah,
exactly. Declan Rice is top midfielder in the game. I mean, even Semenyo's what 8 million, so it's not far off that as well. So I just think for the points per million, it's not worth it. From Wolves' perspective, look, they're going to get relegated. They know they are. Mane, I thought was interesting, really, really interesting. I prefer him over Krupi. I have to say, I really do. I mean, look,
his
we
place is
can
more
say
nailed. To be fair,
his place is more nailed, but that's not the reason why. I just think that either Mane is playing for the love of the game as a young kid running around the pitch, or he's playing for the move away when they inevitably get relegated. Either way, he's got some great motivations, some banging motivations to play football on that pitch. And I think against Arsenal, look, I said before that in the Brentford game, I think it'd be a difficult game, and my mad shout was that Brentford would beat Arsenal, and they weren't far off, to be honest. They could have won that game. But I think the Wolves Arsenal game, unless Arsenal score early, is going to be a really horrible game. Really, really horrible game. It's going to be a nervous game for Arsenal fans. And we all know what happens when Arsenal fans get nervous. Team gets nervous. Arteta gets nervous. Arsenal fan TV loses its shit. And we all laugh from the sidelines. So it's in all intents and purposes, if I was looking for a rogue shout, if I was on wildcard, I think Mane is perfectly reasonable.
fair enough. And I think you giving it the big one about Arsenal just before they play Wolves is strong. We'll see how that comes out, but
Well,
no, I don't think I need to say
here's the
much.
great thing, Stephen. This is being recorded before that game, and probably
Yeah,
by the time I get to editing it tomorrow, will be released just as that game's happening or the morning after. So I
fair
could
enough.
be hilariously wrong, or I could also be nailed on. But we've mentioned them already a few times. You want to talk about the Man United
Yeah, I
West
do want to
Ham
talk about West
game?
Ham because what is going on at West Ham?
I don't
I
know,
mean,
honestly.
I like dog shit. Like when they played Nottingham Forest at home, that was just
It was
unacceptable.
awful. Yeah,
And then you're like, well, they're clearly gone. And it's not just that they're getting points; they're playing well. I think
playing
he's
really
changed the
well.
formation. I think he's changed the formation a bit. They've got the most West Ham signing of all time. Some South American I've never heard of from the Italian league forward.
Mm,
Of course, they've signed someone. That's the most West Ham signing. Well, if you were writing a
yeah.
West Ham script and said come up with a transfer, they'd be like, mate, that's too far. You're taking the piss there. But anyway, Castellanos, whatever his name is. Now he's awful. Just to be very clear, he has no technical
Mm,
ability. Like can't hit a ball. Terrible player. Don't for the love of God bring him in FPL. But he is doing that old thing. He is making a nuisance of himself, and he is bringing Bowen into play a bit more. Fernandez looks a lot better. Even Soucek's, obviously got the goal in the last game, but they just look a bit more annoying. He's made them more
mm,
annoying. He's made West Ham. He's given them something, and he's also giving them running power, and he also means that he's giving the West Ham fans something to cheer about. So he's
mm.
doing like the Benjani role at Portsmouth. He used to keep them up sort of for quite a few seasons. Again, no technical ability whatsoever, but could run around. And yeah, I'm honestly quite confident about West Ham now. They got Desai in from Chelsea. I think that's quite a decent sign. I don't know why he was
That was a
bomb
really
squad.
smart signing. Really, really smart
Yeah.
signing.
I don't know why he was bomb squad at Chelsea. Okay, is he Chelsea quality? Probably not, but I don't. He's
Yeah,
definitely
probably not.
Premier
No.
League in my opinion.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, he's better than some of the. I mean, who was that? Who's that
I
other
mean,
one who's
I think he'd
terrible?
do
So fair
really
now.
well at like a Palace or at a sort of solid
Yeah,
mid-table team, a Brighton, Everton. You know, I think he's that type. He's that type of mold of player, and he could just be a really solid. He reminds me a bit of Craig Dawson, a little bit. If you
yeah.
remember, if like just the way, just real like bog standard, good. You know, he nuts it out. He's relatively good on the ball, but not crazy. Might have a few shouts here and there and score maybe a few goals, but yeah, he seems to be sort of settled in quite nicely. That Burnley away game, pretty impressive, although Burnley have been absolute toilet. But look, I mean, me and Lee talked about this in the last pod. We thought that Man United game would be a bit of a banana skin for them. And it nearly turned out to be. And the chap with the long hair is going to have to keep growing it, unfortunately for him. But
I know. That was the fifth game as well.
it was, yeah. So really unfortunate there. I did put out. We didn't talk about the Man United Tottenham game on the last pod because I would have been too angry. But yeah, I'll leave that alone. But Sesko's coming up with the goods lately. You know, he seems to be. He's not
From the
starting, so
bench.
he's not an asset. But
From the bench.
that goal was a smart goal. It was a smart. Alan Shearer said it himself. The great Alan Shearer said it was a great goal, and he said it's the only place the goalkeeper couldn't save it, and he put it there perfectly. So, if he
Um,
starts, is he an option?
but he won't though. Like, so look, Fernandez at West Ham, he got 15 def cons, so obviously he's gonna be a bit of a defensive cam, and he looked handy. I can't remember his price, but he's quite cheap, so he could be interesting. I'm still not saying Bowen is worth his price, but given how terrible my forward
No.
picks have been, probably ignore me. He got 9 DEF CONs again. He'll definitely get 2 more at some. He'll definitely get another DEF CON goal haul. Manu, they're on the upswing again. What did I say? We're gonna look at this next season and go, that was the warning. Like, you've got to remember this about Man U. They're not gonna bother at West Ham, are they? Like, they're basically they're like Brentford essentially. They're gonna play well against the bigger teams, but they're still pretty boy players who don't care that much. So don't get me wrong. Look, Fernandez is the only exception to that. He'll always play well every week. But Cunha
Yeah.
was very poor. Cunha was very poor, for example. Mine didn't have his best game from memory as well. Mbembo was maybe a bit harsh on him. But just be very careful. Other than Fernandez, I think is an absolute lock. I still don't like a lot of other Man U players because they are still going to be very patchy till the end of the season because of their price. They're not really worth it. But yeah, I guess the key thing is West Ham. I'm with you. Don't target them as much as Nottingham Forest, basically. Especially attackers. I think West Ham are going to be West Ham will be a lot more rigid than Forest from now to the end of the season, definitely.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just on the Fernandez of West Ham, he's 5.5 million. He's currently on 95 points for the season.
Well, there you go.
So clearly putting in some performances. Do you want to guess who their top scoring defender is?
Is it your best? Is it your best mate, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, by any chance?
Is not. He's third, Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Oh, wow. Well, Juve was injured for a lot of the season, so it can't be him. I would have thought. Is it him?
It is Juve.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
4.0, 61 points. He's got 6 points in this game, 9 points in the last. He doesn't play the full 90. That's fair to say. Like he comes off sort of religiously at the 80-minute mark, 1.5% owned. Definitely not a buy, but interesting to note that he is the top scorer for them. For Man United, obviously, most of us now own Bruno Fernandes. He's up to nearly 40% owned. And, it's his first blank in a while. They've got a decent run coming next, but, I know a few people went Mbeumo, a few people have gone Cunha. Is it worrying enough to look at
Fernandez is
rethinking
worth
that?
the extra money, and that West Ham game proves it. This is the thing about he's the only. Even though he's a horrible human being, he's the only player, and I think all Man U fans will say this, he's the only player who tries every week. He literally is the only one.
Yeah.
Man U are good, Man U are bad. He does something essentially. The other one, Cunha's always been Cunha even at Wolves is very inconsistent. When Brembo, I'm being a little bit harsh on him, but like Bruno is just worth the extra investment in a game where again he got a blank in this West Ham game, but that could easily be changed. Actually, I think his XGI was actually pretty decent in that game from memory. So
Yeah.
Bruno is just worth the extra money because it doesn't matter how bad it is around him. He'll at least, at the very least, work
Yeah.
hard and be more likely to get into positions. And he's obviously on penalties as
So-
well, even though I don't think that's that important. But nevertheless, Bruno is worth the extra money. The rest of the Man U team, hard avoid, in my opinion.
And also, so let's say, for example, there are people out there that own Mbeumo and not Bruno. You would do major surgery? Do you think it's a
Yeah,
-4
yeah.
worthy
You
to
got
get
just
up to?
Bruno is definitely worth the extra money, 100%.
Okay, cool.
Should we do? Do you want to do your guys next? The other, well, yeah, we're discussing the relegation battle teams, aren't we? Of course. So we've done Forest and West Ham. We
Yeah,
now must go naturally onto the next relegation candidate.
yeah. I really don't want to talk about it, to be honest. But so context, listeners and viewers. I was watching this in the pub with my new colleagues. I just started a new job, and everyone was like politely talking to each other and being like, and I was trying to be like engaging because they're new people, and I've got to obviously make friends and everything else. But equally was every now and again going, "You fucker!" at the TV, and calling the ref a cunt and everything else in between. So look, I don't actually think Spurs were that bad in the second half. In the first half, they were nowhere. Honestly, I've never seen such a tepid performance from a team. Um, I think the red card for Romero, I'm going to say it, right? I'm going to say this small thing. Romero's red card, the tackle on that is not as bad as Dallow's on Doku a couple of weeks ago at Old Trafford. But because we're at Old Trafford and because it's the Man United of old, they get the decisions. So we didn't have Romero in this game, which did affect us.
Not more because it's Romero. If I was refereeing a Tottenham
Yeah,
game, I'd have my red
100%.
card itching for him the
100%.
whole game. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
he's
100%.
been a run for his own back there.
Either way, it's bad refereeing, right? Either way.
It's been a consistently terrible for long enough that he's wound up to this, both in and around the Tottenham, doing press conferences and showing up late. Anyway, okay, sorry, I'll stop now. I'll stop now.
Yeah. So stop for a minute. That's where you premeditate and that's where you prejudge. Dallow's tackle on Doku, it was taking out the knee, and Romero's hit the ankle, which is more dangerous, right?
I would still say Romero's is a red though. To be fair,
I don't think so. I think that early on in the game, nah. Yeah, a strong yellow and anything else, and you're done.
We're going a bit off base here.
But my point is, without Romero on the pitch, we lacked leadership, and it just meant that the team just was nowhere. I think injuries devastated us. That's fair to say, but every team has injuries.
To be fair to Spurs, your injury list: Bentancur, great player. Bergvall, not okay. You've Bergvall, Danzo, Davis are all backups. Kudus is injured. Kulusevski's injured. Madison's injured. Porro's injured. Richardson's injured. Now Romero's banned, and Destiny Udogi's injured. What's that? Seven out of your starting 11. That
Porro
isn't
was
great.
injured for a bit as well. And look, put it this way, Stephen. Thomas Frank has never had Kulusevski fit in 9 months. I mean, it's crazy. So I think and I don't know who this guy Ego Tiora Tudor has come in. I mean, we are in a relegation battle. That is shite. I think if you have any Spurs players in your team, sell them immediately. I don't see a new manager bounce coming in. I could be wrong. We've got Arsenal the next game. Fucking who knows what's going to happen in that game. Those games are always pretty lively. But look, Newcastle have struggled away from home. Step up, Dr. Tottenham. We will see you now. And we sorted it out. You know what? This is how Spursy we are. We could turn up against Arsenal and we could get a win. After losing at home to Newcastle, who have No, I'm not saying it's going to happen, Stephen. It's very, very unlikely to happen, right? But this is how, inconsistent this team is. We can just never string a load of wins together. And I think that apparently there's stories of Thomas Frank having a leadership group and he wouldn't consult with other players. I think that's a bit of hearsay and a bit bullshit. But overall, am I glad he sacked? Kind of. Do I have hope for the future? No. And actually also going into a bit of EFL to nod to Lee, as he said in the group chat we were all a part of, Leyton Orient just lost tonight 3-1 against Plymouth. They could get relegated. Spurs could get relegated. England might not win the 6 stations. It could be my worst year as a football fan and as a sports fan. Anyway, look. The point is, target Spurs.
Target Spurs.
Yes.
Anything pro Newcastle? I'm still refusing to get Bruno Guimaraes in. They conceded against Newcastle.
Yeah.
they played well against Tottenham, but again, it was sort of easy for them to do so. I think they're sort of in the Man U area where they're a bit too expensive, their players, and they're a bit too inconsistent to be interesting FPL wise. I would say we've got Man City, Everton, Man U, Chelsea. Not the best run either coming up.
There's another reason why you wouldn't get Bruno Guimaraes, and that's he's out for 2 months. But
Oh, you got
you
injured.
know,
There we go. There we go.
yeah, I mean, I don't think Newcastle. There's any Newcastle worthwhile assets. You don't really know which striker is going to be playing. Although I saw that West is injured, so maybe that gives Walter a clearer run. I think Tour is okay. I like Hall, but I just don't think Newcastle are going to keep clean sheets. But he is pushing for an England
Especially with Bruno
position.
out. I don't like him as an FPL asset despite all his points, but yeah, he's a very, very good player and is the heartbeat of
Yeah,
the team. I don't. And is Tonali? Is Tonali's played? But I think he got injured as well. Maybe. He's not really somebody. He's a very good player, Tonali, but is he going to carry your team for 90 minutes week in and week out? I have fitness concerns around him
yeah.
too on this, but
The other thing to mention is, of course, they're still in the Champions League, but they've got the playoff tomorrow
yeah.
against Karabag. So that's something to watch for. I think Dan Burn is an interesting option. I'm not sure how cheap he is now, given that he got injured and probably sold by loads of people, but he's probably in the sort of 4.7, 4.8, I would have thought. He'll be interesting option, but realistically, from both teams, I wouldn't be looking at any assets there. I think just from an FPL perspective, this shows that the only way is up for Tottenham. Or down, I don't know, but we got to start putting some wins together. It sadly won't be this weekend against Arsenal, but maybe the games afterwards. I think if you got Van der Ven, I'd probably bench him this week. He's okay to keep, but really there are better 4.5s out there. And
Fair enough.
we'll see what this Tior is going to do.
Yeah. Well,
Tudor,
anyway, let's
whatever
move.
it's called.
Let's move from the Titans to the Weir and talk about Sunderland, Liverpool. Sunderland were the only team I think in Europe to have 100% home record. I think until obviously
Yeah.
Liverpool. No, sorry, because obviously I'll do with them. I think they are the only team. Anyway, they had a great home record. I can't remember what exact stat was, but it was something very impressive, which is obviously now gone. And I don't want to talk too much about Sunderland because Liverpool look good. I think that's more the story again. They've obviously, I mean, they're not going to do anything in terms of the league. They're too far behind. But Liverpool, Chelsea, Man U, Villa. I mean, I know which team I'm more scared about. Liverpool just look like they're clicking again. Salah in particular seems to have put behind. He's not the Salah of old. I'm not saying he's going to score 18 million goals a game again, but they're looking a lot more menacing and controlled again. Not sure why. Maybe I don't know. Verts, the team isn't. I don't really know. Maybe that's because they've just gone back basically. Just less new signings other than Verts and Ekitike. I'm not sure. But yeah, they look good again. They look like they're going to start really putting together results. And
Yeah,
I think
I think it's just
Verts in particular because of his price. Is he a must have basically? Verts. I think he probably is.
I don't know. I'd rather Semenyo over the two. I mean, I said this the other week. But either one have got a good run now until the end of the season. But Semenyo is just a bit further forward, and he's more a goal threat. Verts is the assist, all the assist. He might score a few, but I think come the end of the season, Semenyo will be a better pick overall. I think what's interesting about Ekitike is that he did have a few chances in this game, and he could have scored.
Missed them all.
He missed them all, but he's getting the chances, and I think if I was owning, I don't think that would put me off at all. I mean, it was clearly an impressive win because Sunderland's been a hard place to go for all teams concerned. So yeah, look, I think I'm not sure whether Liverpool are going to make a march now towards the sort of Champions League spot, but I did hear in an interview with I think it was Virgil who said it would be a disaster if they didn't get into the Champions League. So they're feeling the pressure, but pressure is something that they seem to be quite good at handling in general. So I think that they will come good come the rest of the season. So
Yeah,
I mentioned Mane earlier. Yeah,
I just want to be quickly on Sunderland though. Like, I still think Ropes is a good pick. They've missed Granit Xhaka quite clearly in that game. The fee is not a DM. Try Hume played right wing again, but again, it's a bit inconsistent. But I think Sunderland, as much as I love them, I think Rose will keep making saves. Ballard's quite good for defcons. Muke, I think, is now 4.5, so he's probably out. But yeah, I think until they get Granit Xhaka back, they're not as interesting. And are they slowly heading towards the beach as well, Sunderland? They probably need another win or two. Are they on
Yeah.
36 points or something like that? But yeah, they're
Yeah,
on
it's
36
40, isn't it?
points.
40 is the magic number, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I mean you can, and they've had to work really hard. Like they play without the ball, so they're having to run and chase a lot. If you'd offered any fan their 17th, they would have bitten your hand off before a ball is kicked. So the beach is not far from them, I would say. And fair enough, they've had a great season, and I can't, but I think anyone can begrudge them that. And
No,
they're doing
100%
well in the FA
agreed.
Cup as well, actually, as well. They're through the FA Cup again, and I think they're probably looking at that and thinking, why not?
Yeah, and they've got, is it Norwich? Have they got Norwich
Yeah,
next?
they've had a good. Yeah, they've. I think they had two Premier League teams. I think it was Everton and then I can't remember. But either way, you can look. They're safe. Why not have a go at the FA Cup, right? So you can, yeah.
Exactly.
Rose will just keep making saves, so he's still interesting. But the rest of the team until
Yeah.
unless Grant is going to play every week in the Premier League again, they're not as interesting anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think Salah's worth a little honourable mention. I mean, in the FA Cup at the weekend, I know it's obviously not the Prem, he got a goal and an assist. Um, could we be heading back to an era of owning both Salah and Haaland as a must-have? What
Well,
do you
I'll
think?
say it now. Salah is my banker. I think I think people are going to start having real headaches now, especially with Palmer as well. And
Yeah,
I don't get
sure.
me wrong,
Yeah,
Palmer's
sure.
playing some terrible teams, but no, I think look, I went for Salah as a bit of a differential. I can't believe those words coming out of my mouth, but that is why I did it. And I think he
Mm.
is going to start causing real headaches. The problem is, I mean, we're actually back to game week one of why do people go for Verts? It was because he was cheaper than Salah, so there is that cover there if you want. But
Hmm.
I can see Salah starting to do a bit more. I think
Yeah, and
I
Salah's.
think I think his January blow up did not go to plan. I think he was going to be getting his move and whatever. It hasn't
Hmm.
happened. The Saudi leagues are apparently paying less money, so I think he's a bit like shit. I need to
Hmm.
start picking up again if I want to get one more big check.
He has also got quite a nice run. So he's
That Lou
got
was a very
uh,
good run, very good run.
yeah, Forest away, West Ham at home, Wolves away, Tottenham at home, Brighton away, Fulham at home, Everton away, Palace at home. I mean, that is a saucy run. That is a great run. And then I'm not sure what the double game weeks are saying, but I'm pretty sure they'll be through. So they probably will get a double. So then you're talking about, potentially another captaincy opportunity to attack Haaland if he's not if they're not there. So yeah, Liverpool, yeah, they will get a blank in 34, which is obviously that'd be a bit shit and hard to navigate, but that does mean they'll get a double, and that double could be Palace and whoever they're playing in that other week that they put it in. So that could be. I mean, think about it. In that they could be moving that Palace game to being around the same time as Fulham, maybe. And then you could be talking
Pretty
about
good.
Fulham and Palace at home double. Like that'd be an outrageous double. So
Both teams will have given up by then. Like,
yeah, exactly right, exactly right. So yeah, look, I think we'll see how it goes. But Salah was actually my rogue shout because of the amount of
his
money you have to
price.
spend to invest him in
Yeah,
surgery, and you're probably pulling a wild card to bring him in anyway. So I think it's a big
sure.
call. But cool. Let's move on. And we're briefly giving honorable mentions to the Arsenal Brentford game. Stephen, are you concerned?
I think the best football podcast out there isn't this one. Surprisingly, it's actually football cliches, and they've highlighted this about Arsenal, which is the discourse around. And then yeah, Arsenal fans have fed into it. And I know there's a bit of like, but it's just become ridiculous now. It's just like they've
Yeah.
bottled it. They've got the quadruple. They've bottled it. It's just like people make up your minds. And they're like Man City. They're like Man City. They drew to Spurs. They've bottled it. Pep's over. It's just like all right. I think let's just maybe have a look at this like over a longer period. Ups and downs, ups and downs.
Yeah.
If you were to and obviously I wasn't here, but I've told you about Brentford. Like they play.
Yeah. Sure.
I that was a game I was worried about. I think I said that on another podcast, a previous podcast actually. I was worried about that. I mean,
Hmm.
it was always a risk going for this double game week. But Arsenal had Wolves. I think the logic was would you triple captain an Arsenal player just playing Wolves? Probably. So
Hmm.
why not add on a Brentford player as a sort of a 20%er? Um, I don't think there's too much to talk about there. Brentford just did what Brentford did. Arteta did what he wanted to do. I think Arteta is probably one of the few people to pay Brentford respect. Was a bit
Mhm.
unlucky not to get more with the the long throw in. We defended uncharacteristically badly, but if we had just done that normally, or the referee had given a foul on Gabriel, which he could have done, that would have been a 1-0 masterclass, basically. So, no,
Yeah.
I'm not too worried. Again, with Brentford, what did I say to you about Brentford? Look what they do when they're away at Mansfield. Mansfield, you just stand there.
Yeah.
They're like, what do we do? What? Football
How
pass?
do we attack?
What do we do? What do we do? We don't know what to do. And then it's just like, oh, we'll long throw it in to what, a lower league team? Okay. The fact that they had to get an own goal to go,
Yeah.
that says all you need to know about Brentford. It really, really does. Like,
Mhm.
honestly, they're going to do well against teams that go at them because they're great on the count. Again, I know I'm a broken record about this, but they've got Brighton next. Brighton probably will go for it in that game, but Burnley away. Oh, I guess do Burnley stick or
Yeah.
twist? If Scott Parker has any sense, he'll stick. He'll do it to Liverpool and just stick at home, and then he'll end up getting 3 points there. But let's see.
Yeah. Brentford have got quite a nice run actually. Thinking about it, Bournemouth after that, Wolves after that. I mean, Jesus, that's actually a little. And Leeds after that. What, Jesus Christ? There's some tasty fixtures in there, and no doubt we'll be wild carding soon. So hopefully that means we'll come in. Yeah, I mean, I watched the Arsenal game again. Drinking, I know there's a common theme in all of these stories, but yeah, it seemed to me that Arsenal did have a fair few chances, but we're under the cosh. Declan Rice, he covered every single blade of grass in that game. What a performance! Just from an XG perspective, Brentford had 1.51, Arsenal had 0.6, but they had the lion's share of possessions. I mean, Martinelli could have won it at the end, and it would have been a real snatch and grab, but didn't quite get it out of his feet. But Brentford had plenty of chances to win this game. Plenty. The one where Thiago muscled Mascara off the ball was 1-on-1, just took too long to pick his spot. So look, I probably agree with you in your theory about Brentford, but it does mean that I think we need to treat them with a bit more of respect and not really look at them from a fixture perspective, but more as a set and forget. And I think that even though Thiago is not currently doing bits, you saw in that game he could have easily hauled, and I think I would be happy
He should
owning
have
him for the
done,
rest of the season. Yeah, I'd be happy owning him for the rest of the season because he's a
and
cheap centre
he'll
forward that will haul in different games, and you could
exactly.
have Mane
He'll get
alongside of
another
him,
hat
and
trick
then
this season.
yeah,
He'll definitely
you
get
know
another
he
hat trick this
will.
season.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think he was playing in the Romanian division last season, or wherever the season before that, in the second tier, I think, but I believe, and they've signed him, and he's now 4 goals behind Haaland, which is crazy. So I think that he's got the bit between his teeth, so he's gonna be a great pick for the rest of the season. And if you had him, Haaland, and Mane as the front three, you could potentially afford a Salah, maybe not a Palmer, but you could afford someone in that price bracket later on. Um, but yeah, we will see the game next tomorrow night. I wonder if I'm correct or not. If I'm incorrect, I'll delete it from the edit. No, I won't. Don't worry, listeners and viewers. I'll keep it in. But shall we move on? We've hinted at the bankers, middling and row. So why don't you complete the set and tell us who the rest of your
So
chaps are?
Townsend Banker won't need to go through that again, but just quickly, Liverpool have got a great run. I think he's worth the money. And again, he's 20% owned, but I'm going to say that's really high dead teams, and he could be somebody who gets these hauls and really. We're getting near the end, right? I think you have to take a bit of a punt. He's very expensive. You're going to have to manage your money a bit, but I think he could be somebody who's going to really take you away. The next two people I've brought in as well. So these are in my team. Once again, I'm practicing what I preach. My middling is Ryan at Bournemouth. Ryan, not sure how to pronounce it. They've signed him
Yeah,
from is it Vasco da Gama?
some Brazilian team. Yeah,
Yeah, Bournemouth have got a good run. They love to attack, and he just looks good, doesn't he? He just looks really good.
three
He's
returns in
got his
three.
3 returns in 3. His stats look good. Bournemouth's runs pretty good. They got West Ham, Sunderland, Brentford, Burnley, Man U, pretty good.
Decent
And
fixtures.
he's
Yeah.
cheap, so yeah, I not much more to say really. And then my rogue shout is actually quite rogue. So what was his ownership? His ownership was like less than 1, I think. Let's see what it is. So it is. He's 0.1% owned. He has gone back to this club despite me not knowing that he left this club. I've forgotten that he had left. I thought he was just injured for a bit. And that's Douglas Luiz.
Oh yeah,
So
I told you about that,
yeah,
didn't I?
yeah. I was like, I think he played one game for Forest. Honestly, I don't know what happened there, but anyway, it
Yeah,
doesn't really matter. Um, Aston Villa have a few injuries, and I think he's going to play a lot more. I think he's going to play like sort of this second
yeah,
attacking role. I also think he's on their penalties potentially. Um, and do you know what? He's just a good player, Douglas Luiz.
yeah.
I
He's
can
a very
see him
good player.
doing GEFCONs, but fundamentally, why have I got him? He is 4.9 million, and Villa have a pretty good run coming up.
Is he
They
really?
have
That is surprising.
well, because like he didn't really was he injured last season? Honestly, he's had a weird career. Anyway, they have Leeds and Wolves next. Not bad. Chelsea, Man U, then West Ham Forest. So you got Chelsea, Man
You'll
U in
get Defcons in
between.
that game.
Yeah, there's a bit of a shit sandwich there, but the bread's very nice. And then it's Sunderland, Fulham, Tottenham, I mean, wow, actually, so there you go. Villa's run into almost the end of the season is incredible. So yeah, Douglas Luiz, why not? I mean, obviously, if I had the money, I'd go for Morgan Rogers, but I can't quite see how I can have Salah, Rogers, Palmer, and
No,
Haaland.
probably
It's
not. No.
quite difficult to do that.
It's quite the catchphrase. The shit sandwich, but the bread's nice. I think
Yeah,
we should capture that. Put it on a T-shirt somewhere. That'd be great. Our
yeah.
first merchandise right there. And your shock
My
result.
Arsenal to win by 6 goals or more.
I'm not showing up to record the pod next week if that happens. I'm not doing it. See, I'm not even joking. I'll get Lee back, and you and Lee can do it, and I'll set you
I
up, and I'll go away. I honestly like, yeah, I mean, that's very possible. That's very possible. The state
It's
we're
still a
in.
shot, but like
Um,
I think Arsenal for a variety of reasons really like. Let's see how Wolves goes because I don't know. Obviously we don't. We're recording for that game, but I think Arsenal really do need to start laying down some markers. Man City look like a team playing like they know they don't have to push too hard. We need to start laying down some markers. We have Wolves, we have Spurs. This is a good time to start laying down some markers. Those are two good fixtures to really say to teams being Wigan 4-0 is okay, but we need to do that more. We need to do that in the Prem.
yeah. Okay, cool. So my banker is Ryan as well, and I'm going to bring him in.
Oh wow, okay.
Um, so actually, Lee put me onto him a little bit, but I had kind of noticed, and I said this when they sold Semenyo, they're definitely going to sign someone for that wing. He's come in,
Yep,
he's got
I was wrong
3
about that.
returns in 3,
Hmm.
5.5 million. I've got Harry Wilson at the moment, and he's kind of stinking up my team. So he's going to go bang in there, no problem at all. Then my middling is actually Saka. And the reason
Okay,
why he's middling is because obviously he's been injured. He started, or he came off the bench, sorry, against Brentford. That means he probably will come and play against Wolves. His returns have been
started in
shocking.
the cup. Started in the cup
Started in
as
the
well.
cup, yeah, which is quite surprising. His returns have been shocking, but as you said, you've got a decent run. He does have a blank in game week 31, but you're probably wild carding before then. But his last double digit return was against Wolves in game week 16. He's only had 2 double digit returns all season, so his ceiling is not high.
He's been injured.
But
It's coming. It's coming with him.
still, but 9.8 million. Oh, you've been saying he's coming for ages. He's not even in the top 10 for midfielders. Harry
Yeah, yeah.
Wilson's above him by a considerable amount. So he's middling for that reason because I think he's quite a lot of money. And then my rogue shout is Salah, as I mentioned, because I just think that to get him in, you're going to have to do major surgery.
Mm.
You're almost certainly going to have to be on a wild card. And look, we've seen these false dawns before for players coming back into form. He's middle of the second page for midfielders, and he's only got 82 points all season. So, realistically, I mean, when João Palhinha is ahead of you for points in FPL, that's probably an issue, particularly when you can buy 3 João Paulinhas for the price of Salah.
Oh,
So yeah, he's my rogue shout, and then my shock result. And I guess it's shocking because of where the form has been, and Bournemouth have been a bit shaky, and West Ham have been quite good at home. I think Bournemouth absolutely thrashed West Ham like 4
okay.
0
Yeah, yeah. I'd say
um,
that is a shock right now. 5 weeks ago, maybe not, but yes, now it is. I'd say.
Yeah, so that'll be my shock result. And then, before we wrap up, Stephen, you are going to make. Did I hear you already made your transfers? You're going
Yeah,
to bring in Ryland?
Douglas Luiz, and Ryan have brought in. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to bring in Ryland, and now you've done it. I can't do it. Stephen, I can't do it. You cursed the player. He's going to get like shot
If it
by someone
helps,
right now.
he's been in my draft team since he's transferred into the league, and so all those I've already had his points under a different FPL system, so it's okay. He survived being in my draft team.
Okay.
He should be fine by my normal team as well.
Yeah, so he's currently in. So actually, I wrote down what I was going to do for my next couple of weeks, and it was so I did King, not Harry King, the King at Fulham to Rice, Wilson to Ryland, and the next week is going to be João Pedro to Ekatike. That's my plan.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then I'll see how I go towards a wild card, probably in 30, 31, something like that. But yes, that is it for this week. We hope you've enjoyed it. Please do give us a like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And by all means, do follow us on the Instagram, Twitter, preferably not in the street. And we hopefully will be back with you next week with not too much shame on my face, but certainly some interest for the game weeks to come. So thank you very much for listening, and we wish you the best week.